Hey, I'm Micki,
Hi, I'm Kat.
and we are Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to the Sagittarius moon in December 2020.
Ooh, Gemini and Mars.
Gemini, Mars, Sagittarius, Sun. We got something fun going on.
Okay.
Frightening.
Sometimes those two go together.
Well, there's action. It's action packed.
Okay, that's nice because when you're coming out of doing nothing, you're
Exactly.
like, all right, there's some movement.
There's some movement. The weird thing is that it's kind of like, Mars is going backwards. It's retrograde.
Oh, right.
And so what we're going through right now, we're going to go through again in mid to late February.
Okay. All right.
So this kind of is reflecting something of where we're at now with this transition in time,
Okay.
but we're not, we're there's something really reminiscent, uh redoing, and
Yeah.
it goes all the way back to 2020.
Oh, is that the last time we were in this point?
This
Yeah.
2020 was when we had the long Mars in Aries.
Oh, yeah.
And we were all in the same place forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And 20,
I'm stuck.
but now we're in Gemini with Mars doing the same thing because every 2 years or so it does this retrograde thing where it stays in one sign for 7 months, 6, 7 months.
Yeah.
So here we are, 7 months, halfway through 7 months in Gemini with Mars in Gemini. And that's real scattered action in
Yeah.
Gemini,
Gemini.
or action of two different minds, like do it and then maybe do it this way. And
Which is absolutely where I've been. I'm like, what's the right path to take? Like literally, what's the right path to take?
walk down this path for a while, go, oh, wait a minute, back, go down this path for a while.
Do I take the train or do I take the plane? I don't know. Yeah.
Right. Right. Oh, and it's
Yeah.
so Sagittarian. That's so
Yeah, I'm very Sagittarian. I'm like, I got to get out of here.
exactly that big Sagittarius sun is going, it's time to go, baby, blast
I
off.
got to get out of here and I've got to make it happen by mid to late February.
Yeah, that's the energy I'm feeling, is like,
Which path am I going to take? It's amazing how my thought process is. Like sometimes I pay attention to the chart just on a regular, but it's been a while since I've done that. So I haven't even really looked at the chart. But now that you're talking about it, it's like, oh, I'm right there. I'm
yeah,
right there in my headspace.
it's so cool how it just literally reflects sometimes just exactly what's happening,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool and kind of not cool sometimes.
It's helpful for making meaning. And
Exactly.
that's why we're here.
That's right. So I'll go ahead and share our screen and pull up the
Let's look at the chart.
thingy here. So we've got full moon. Why is that?
Yeah.
Because I'm screen sharing. The full
Yeah.
moon in Sag is full moon in Gemini, conjunct Mars, pulling us into maybe emotional action. The moon with Mars together is kind of emotional action. Not sure
Yeah.
what that means, but how else can we interpret moon and Mars?
Emotional agitation.
Emotional agitation, that's for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we've just come out of this Venus Mars opposition. Was
Oh,
that coming up to a Venus Mars opposition? Oh, I have to look at that now.
when we get to the chart.
Yeah, but the sun in Sag is a big, beautiful placement for the sun. It's happy there, and with Mercury shining a light on our communications, that may be able to help us to deal with this emotional action that could be really
Mm,
occupying us.
yeah. Agitated emotions, but Mercury is in Sagittarius with the sun, which should be helpful because Sagittarius is the like wise one and the teacher and the knowledge systems, deep knowledges, and Mercury's the communication. So temper our emotional agitation with some inner teacher wisdom and nonviolent communication.
Very good. That's a great way to interpret it. And also maybe just go away for a while till things chill out.
It's like, Micki's the pragmatic one.
You gotta take the ride.
That's all like, how can I evolve into
To be God. Oh, sorry. With Gemini, I've got a natal Mars in Gemini.
oh yeah.
And
What's
Mars,
that like?
it's well, I thought a lot about it because it's really disjointed,
Mm,
scattered. It's hard to
got
get
it.
things done because if you try and do everything at once, they're really multitasking is not possible.
Yeah.
The Gemini in Mars and Gemini thinks it can multitask. So I'm of two minds about Gemini and Mars.
Oh, okay.
One is that I studied languages when I
Yeah.
was in college. I couldn't pick one to study. I had to study them all. I studied linguistics,
There you go.
8 different languages. So there's, my Gemini is in my ninth house of higher learning. So how does Mars impact somebody with Gemini in the ninth house? Well, take all the languages. Don't take just one. Write all the books. Don't write just one. I mean, so it's an inability to narrow down to just one thing.
Yeah.
If it was in Taurus, it might be like, eat all the different things. Don't eat just one, or
Yeah.
plow all the fields. Don't plow just one. There's a no. I've got that backwards. If Mars was in Taurus, then that action would be a Taurian action rather than a Gemini action. So
Right.
anyway, Gemini can be again scattered, and so this full moon may make us feel like we're kind of disjointed,
Yeah.
unless you're used to it. But let me scroll down.
I mean, we've been here for some months now.
We have. I'm going to skip that one and come down to the chart.
Oh, look at that cute chart.
It's not my chart. I found a mouse forth.
Look at the mouse. I like being a digger.
So
Family.
it's cool. Look at this. I mean,
Okay, look at that. Moon and Mars. Wow. Okay.
and there's a grand cross here with Sagittarius throwing the void into Virgo. So especially if you got something in Virgo, this could be active, where Virgo is for you.
Yeah.
It could be activating some things.
I've got my North Node in Virgo opposite Jupiter and Neptune.
Oh, right where the kitty's paws are.
That's right. What am I reaching for?
What are you reaching for? Yeah,
Do you
that's
want to take the train?
well, the Jupiter and Sun configuration is, such a turn of the wheel because it's such a big opportunities, or big changes, or all you have to do is put some effort in it to get those square wheels to go.
Oh yeah.
But there's a nice trine with the moon and Saturn.
That is nice. Trines with Saturn and Mars always seem like they're going to be a little bit like, oh, we can calm down a little bit and have some harmony in things.
Right. So I don't know. I think that this is kind of interesting that we've got, the Uranus Saturn is pulling apart now. Now we're at 5 degrees.
Oh, okay, good.
So this is starting to back off this square we've been in since the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
This, long-term difficult configuration between, tradition and change,
Right.
or authority and change, or, all those kinds of
Or status quo and upheaval.
bam, exactly. Status quo and up. So it feels like when Mars finishes its retrograde, because it's going back, that's what the R is. He's going back up. And I always think of that as being kind of like pulling the bow back
Uh-huh.
Because when it lets go, oh, it's gonna go forward.
Go forward.
Go forward. Yeah, so we're kind of hanging at this point. That we're going to be revisiting again in like February 20th.
Yeah.
Mars
Okay.
will hit this place again. And then we're going to, January 12th is when Mars goes forward. So by the time it gets to this point again, it's going to be in full forward motion,
Right.
zooming into Cancer. So I think it'll be, I think it's telling us that in early spring, late March, early April, we're going to see all the changes that we've been working towards that don't seem that they're going to happen are going to happen then.
Is that when it moves into Cancer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to move beyond this point, move beyond the place where it went retrograde to begin with.
Right.
At 25 of Gemini. So as soon as it goes beyond 25 Gemini, we're in new territory.
Well, and then it won't be long before it gets into Cancer, and that'll change the dynamic significantly.
Exactly. That's going to be the deep sea diver when Mars either gets its fire put out or learns to swim.
Okay, so before we get to Cancer, get
Right.
that positive action going.
Yeah, and a lot of the things are starting to turn direct now. We just had Neptune go direct.
Okay.
So it still says retrograde here. It is about to station. Oh, that's Uranus. Neptune. Neptune. Yeah, it just stationed to go direct, and that's kind of a sea change. In Pisces, literally a sea change.
Yeah.
So that's that all that water here. We've been dealing with a lot of water, big Neptunian, dreamy, illusory in Pisces that Neptune and Jupiter both rule. So we've had the kind of a huge dose of Piscean water.
Yeah, I like it.
How do you see Pisces? Pisces is kind of illusory, just all by itself.
I usually end up having a significant number of Pisces in my life. I think it's because they're especially creative, and that's probably amplified with Neptune and Jupiter there right now. And they tend to be pretty mystically oriented. And I appreciate those things.
Yeah, I could see this being an artist's signature.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a poet's signature, a songwriter's signature, a dreamer's signature.
It's a dreamer's signature. Yeah.
Yeah. So but it's not real clear. Whatever's happening here is certainly not clear.
Well, that's part of Pisces.
Right.
It's like never clear. Like they're not clear about themselves. And they're not clear about other people, and everything's changing all the time because they're the mutable water sign and they don't even know how they feel half the time. And my Taurus self is just like, you're sweet.
Paint another picture. Send me a song. Yeah,
You're pretty.
this is something that can be really harnessed. And notice that this is configured in a trine with Black Moon,
Love it.
also in the water sign of Cancer.
Which is, by the way, conjunct my Black Moon.
Ooh. Ooh, it's
Which is
time
probably also why I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
or pull something out of your hat to work on artistically.
Yeah.
Out of your hat, meaning, from that unconscious place that maybe,
Right.
You don't really know what's there.
Right. I have been drumming. Drumming's good for that.
That's really good for that. Exactly. Ooh, that's a very Black Moon activity.
Yeah. With my black drum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Now also look at its opposite Pluto at the same time.
I know. Crazy.
Wow. So how are you feeling this? Or are you noticing something, especially with your Black Moon being there as well?
I genuinely, I've been focused on my like long-term plans of my getaway spot. And using the action and imagination and like figuring out problem solving to make it happen so that my getaway spot is as usable as I want it to be as
Yeah.
soon as I
Are
can.
you
Looking
working
for
on,
fire coziness. That's what I'm
is there
looking
a new
for.
toilet in your getaway spot?
There's not a new toilet, but there will very soon be a new stove,
Oh,
which is a burning thing. What's that?
I was trying to think of something plutonic. That's why I went to the toilet.
Well, a fire is consumptive, which is very Pluto.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested in the Black Moon Pluto opposition there because they're both pulling kind of towards the same thing. So how is it an opposition? I mean, Black Moon is what we maybe don't recognize in ourselves that could be a strength.
Right,
Pluto are those things that unconsciously may bubble to the surface.
right.
So in that sense, they're both very similar, but also Pluto may hold our strength because our shadow, once recognized, is our strength.
Hmm.
But Black Moon, by its very definition, is that which we don't recognize.
Yeah,
So there's some interrelationship here between the two and how they're tugging at each other. I mean,
right.
maybe one way they're tugging is for us to try to make some things of the unconscious more conscious so that they can be expressed.
Oh, yeah. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that oppositions are more like balancing acts.
Yeah.
And that might be because I have a stellium in Libra that I see them that way. But it's like, oh, now I'm whole. I have both sides of me equally going on, and maybe I feel a little bit more like that right now, like more accepting of the depths and not afraid of the unconscious. So it doesn't have to be like a tug of war struggle. Sometimes it's the Libra balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I heard Adam Ellen Boss, he's an astrologer, talk about this, and he was saying that if you can do, if you can hold both of the opposite concepts, the opposite things, the Pluto and Black Moon in your mind at the same time.
Right.
It's not like you're putting them together. They're still opposite. Right. But by holding them in your mind at the same time, you are creating some sort of a bridge rather than the tension. So you could pull with the tension, but you also could hold them both and kind of as a meditation even. He was suggesting a meditation on the oppositions.
I should drum and meditate on the Pluto Black Moon opposition.
That would probably be really, really helpful. Yeah.
Really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And I tend to kind of look at that world in the world in that way anyway, because of my training and myth and the significance of paradox and consciousness development. And so it is just very much these, like, there are pairs of things. Like, duality gets a bad rap, but it's also how our consciousness works.
Exactly. There is no up without down.
Yeah.
There's no right without wrong, no left without right. I mean, it all is that yin yang whole.
Yeah. So there's probably no Black Moon without Pluto.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting. I think, like what you said to begin with, that now there's a hole there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a gestalt.
It is a gestalt. Yes.
Gestalt on some level when we're able to not pull one way or the other in the opposition, but hold them both and balance them, like you say, then you can create a whole out of it that then may be at least satisfying, and then you can get the benefits of both.
That's right. How very Neptune and Jupiter and Pisces of you.
Yes, seek the stars. You don't even need a spaceship.
I like how heady and philosophical our conversations get.
I know. Well, the stars sort of put us here just sort of naturally.
It's true.
I, I kind of like that Chiron there in Aries too, this new beginning of, a healing in what we're starting.
Right. Chiron's been hanging out there for a while because it's retrograde too.
Right. It's also, going to be going back over the same place again. So, Mars in some situations triggers, can trigger stuff. I mean, it is a malefic, and some people might say, well, be careful of accidents here, especially be aware of emotional discord. Maybe don't try and start a fight right now. Wait a couple days.
Do not start a fight right now.
Yeah, wait a couple days.
Do that communication inside yourself first.
Yeah, try it out. And Saturn is helping put the brakes on whatever Mars wants to do.
Yeah, with that trine. Nice cooling action with that trine.
Exactly. So Mars goes,
Chiron
let's go. And Saturn's like, do you even have tickets? You don't know which road you're on yet.
I haven't decided if it's the train or the plane. I don't know. And then it's got that sextile to Chiron.
Exactly. So that Chiron is kind of, well, with both Mars and Chiron going back, again, I have that sense of, let's just pull back a little bit. Let's just pull back a little bit. It may be a remembering pulling back. It may be well, wait a minute, I've got to tie up X, Y, and Z before I can go on that trip.
Yeah, I think it's a wait a minute. I think it's a wait a minute. You don't have like Mercury just got into Capricorn. Like, there's probably more information out there. So don't start that fight. Like, you don't have all the pieces yet.
Exactly.
You don't know what else is going on to be able to pick when you're going on your trip.
Right. And technically, Mercury's still conjunct Venus.
Yeah.
But they moved beyond that opposition with Mars. So, something might have been triggered last week. An action may have been triggered that now we're having to pull back from, review. And it may be February before, again, the end of February before you're really moving forward beyond this situation.
Yeah.
So, but do take a look at where the kitty's paws are for you. What is in Virgo, mid to late Virgo there, because that again is the void that's being, the square is throwing the energy into this point. And that might be a place to examine to see, well, I mean, if you have any planets there, or if you don't, well, what does Virgo mean to you? What house is that?
What house is Virgo? Yeah.
Yeah. What house is Virgo for you?
6th house.
So this is a work related or a daily routine related thing?
Yeah.
The sigh, we've hit the trigger point.
The sigh of my days are not entirely my own. And even if they were, I'm still not a disciplined person.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to have a daily routine.
Boy,
Yeah, it's a struggle. I want to be the kind of person that like gets up and makes my coffee and does my journaling and does the yoga, and then I get on with my day, and like once every 15th day I actually make that all happen. It's so simple and it's like I'm gonna be angry with myself. We have 10 minutes left, Micki.
we do. We have to wrap it up a little bit then.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got Virgos in my 12th house because we're opposites.
Yeah.
And 12th house, which is also complementary, as we've seen. We can hold them both in our mind at once. And for me, it's been interesting because all I want to do is work on my 12th house writing project. But all this Gemini stuff is distracting me in a big way.
Yeah.
It's creating a big distraction and maybe slowing me down from doing some of the stuff. But that paying attention to that void, I think this is the area we're trying to clear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The area we're trying to maybe rearrange so that it fits better, does more for us in our life.
Okay.
So, thinking about that,
I can clean my spaces.
yeah, a little work here might help us to feel that structure is in
Yeah.
that positive accord with our actions.
Right. See, I used to be that person that would get up and journal and do yoga every day. I used to be that person. So there's some thing that stopped it. And frankly, it was an injury. That's what it was. Uh, and it's been years. I haven't been able to get it going again. But this is my year. This is my Virgo year.
That's it.
Doing again.
Sure.
Something's going to tip the scales.
That's right. And I love astrology because when we see all these configurations and we know, wow, all these planets are going to start to roll forward over the next few months. We've moved beyond the Saturn Uranus square, and when Mars goes forward in late March, just everything's going to shift.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to feel a lot better. There's other stuff going on, and a lot of astrologers will tell us about, we've got the Uranus coming home to roost for the US chart. So there's still stuff going on, for all this, but I think that this is going to take us beyond the COVID era and into a new space. That's my goal.
I need it because usually spring, late March, early April is always a time to be like, yeah, forward movement, let's get it. Exactly. And for the past couple of years, it has not been that. And it's been like, oh, I'm supposed to feel motivated right now, and I do not. So maybe this coming spring.
Exactly. And with Mars where it is, I just, everything feels like, again, like that pullback.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like walking in sand.
Yeah.
You could sort of feel like you're going forward, and you turn and you look back and you go, well, wait a minute, I've only come 4 feet.
I know, right? But you did go forward. Like, I am working on my getaway spot, even though it's taking me months longer than I thought it would. But like every little piece of plywood that goes up helps. Every bit of insulation I stuff into the walls helps.
Exactly.
So somehow I have to translate that into every time you make it into your basement cave, and it'll work. Do it.
Oh, do you have off the top of your head, do you have the 16 degrees of Sag or Gemini?
Neptune is like 14 Sag.
No, I mean, it's the moon and the sun.
Yeah. Oh, the Sabian.
Yeah, Sabian symbols. That's what I'm thinking of.
Let's look at the moon. Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay. What is it? 16?
16.
A woman activist and an emotional speech dramatizing her cause.
Ooh, that's nice. Okay, that seems right. There's a
very Gemini, yeah.
Very Gemini, very Mars.
Mars, but it's the woman, and she's an activist. She's out there making things change.
That's what we need.
Being a performer.
What's Sag? What's 16 Sag?
Okay. Seagulls fly around a ship looking for food.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Huh.
And then it's just like that scatteredness of Gemini that we feel right now. Like seagulls, a horde of seagulls are a little bit like, ooh, they're like everywhere. Scavengers.
Yeah. I don't know. I think of two things is, they're up high.
Yeah.
But mostly they're just focused on this which is, yeah, like you say, so Gemini, just
Yeah, it's very
wrap it
frenzied.
together. But then there's always Jonathan Livingston Seagull, who may fly above that into that Sagittarian sky. And
Yeah.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
No,
Well,
that one seagull, because this is seagulls.
now that was just one seagull, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, but I won't go down that. It's not
The
a-
frenzy of seagulls around a boat searching for food seems very like Mars, Moon, Gemini,
it absolutely does.
even though it's the Sagittarius sign.
Just a bunch of different action that may even not be correlated in any way, just disjointed, discombobulated,
Right.
but it may still clean things up and get stuff done.
Yeah. And searching.
And searching. Well, those are fascinating. Well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here.
Yeah.
And we will visit on the new moon coming up. Things are getting interesting.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, you guys. Have a great moon.